You want to find a long-eared owl, huh? Well, that's much easier said than done. These stunning owls are very elusive and shy, so it will likely take a thorough search of good habitat to find one. Don't be discouraged, I've found numerous long-eared owls in my lifetime, and I've got some rules that you can follow to help you with your search to find this beautiful bird. Let's go find a long-eared owl. Now, before I share some rules for finding a long-eared owl, I'll remind everyone that I have a similar video that discusses how to find a northern saw-whet owl. While some of the rules are the same, there are plenty of different considerations to keep in mind when looking for long-eared owls. Rule number 1 for finding long-eared owls: know how to identify this species. Although this may sound obvious, it's important to note because several owl species look similar to long-eared owls. Great horned owls in North America and Eurasian eagle owls in Europe and Asia both look pretty similar to long-eared owls because they all share those prominent ear tufts. Although long-eared owls look superficially similar to the owls that I mentioned, keep in mind that long-eared owls are medium-sized owls. They aren't much bigger than a loaf of bread, whereas great horned owls and Eurasian eagle owls are both large owls that are way bigger than long-eared owls. Rule number 2, when looking for long-eared owls, look during the winter. Although many long-eared owls stay around their breeding grounds throughout the whole year, you won't want to go trekking through these habitats during the summer breeding season because you don't want to risk disturbing long-eared owls on their nests. Most long-eared owls begin their southbound migrations by the onset of October, and they'll continue migrating south through November. Spring migration for long-eared owls begins in March and continues all the way through the end of April. Rule number 3. Before you can find a long-eared owl, you've got to find the right habitat. Long-eared owls often overwinter in the same types of habitats as northern saw-whet owls, and indeed I've had several opportunities in which I've found both northern saw-whet owls and long-eared owls in the same outing. Therefore, looking in conifers is a good place to start. I found long-eareds in spruce, pines, and cedar trees in the past. Any conifer that provides good cover and shelter and allows long-eared owls to quickly flush from danger could be used. Long-eared owls may also roost in riparian areas. In other words, they may roost in dense stands of trees near water. Thick patches of willows or cottonwoods are worthwhile places to check. These areas offer terrific cover for long-eared owls. Now, when looking for long-eared owls, it's important to remember that good winter roost sites will have open spaces nearby with plenty of vegetation to provide cover for the voles and other small rodents that they hunt. Check conifer groves or riparian areas adjacent to grasslands, pastures, marshes, or sagebrush, and you may find yourself a long-eared owl. Rule number 4, when looking for long-eared owls: don't wear your favorite clothes unless your favorite clothes happen to be tear resistant. Whether you're looking for a long-eared owl in a grove of cedars or a patch of willows, your clothes can easily be torn to shreds when looking for these birds. If you plan to regularly look for long-eared owls, find yourself a good tear-proof outfit. My 5th and final rule that will help you find a long-eared owl: find the whitewash and find the pellets. Long-eared owls consistently roost in the same trees during winter, and over time a bunch of whitewash will accumulate beneath their favorite perches. So whitewash is the term that birders use to refer to the droppings of owls, whereas pellets are regurgitated animal parts that long-eared owls cannot digest. So within this pellet here, you would have fur, bones, teeth, and anything else that cannot be processed for energy by long-eared owls. So long-eared owl pellets are fairly small as far as owl pellets go. They're about the same size as a saw-whet owl, so sometimes I can't differentiate a long-eared owl pellet from a saw-whet owl pellet, although generally long-eared owl pellets do tend to be a little bit bigger than those of saw-whet owls. But ultimately, these two birds largely eat the same food items. Their diet primarily consists of voles. All right, we are about ready to go look for long-eared owls, but before we go, I have to stress the importance of keeping your distance from long-eared owls. This species is extremely sensitive to disturbance. Those who routinely visit their winter roost site or get too close to them are doubtlessly going to stress out long-eared owls. Long-eared owls that are routinely disturbed at their winter roost sites will abandon their roosts. This can be deadly for these beautiful owls, as it could cause them to starve or get injured or killed as they try to find a new winter roost site, so plan to keep at least 10 meters or 30 feet between you and the long-eared owl. Now, without further ado, let's go find a long-eared owl. Long-eared owls can be in conifers of various sizes. I've spotted them in cedar trees ranging in size from 10 feet tall to 30 feet tall. When I look for saw-whet owls, I can often focus on searching in smaller, dense conifers, but most conifers deserve scrutiny when searching for long-eared owls. Fortunately, long-eared owls don't often perch exceedingly high in trees. I often find them perched anywhere from eye level to 15 feet up. So as I was searching for long-eared owls, I found a tree that had a bunch of whitewash, and I looked up in the tree only to see this fuzzy, weird-looking creature staring down at me. It took me a moment to realize that it was actually a barred owl that was facing into the snow, and it was just absolutely caked in snow. It looked so goofy, and it clearly was not enthused by all of the snow it was getting pelted with. Not a long-eared owl, but I'm on the right track. Let's see if we can track down one of these gorgeous owls. Now, at this point, I've found several trees that have had a good amount of whitewash beneath them, and I've also found a few pellets. The pellets do match the size of those produced by long-eared owls, but if you'll recall, I also mentioned that northern saw-whet owls produce similarly sized pellets. Given that these two owls frequently roost in similar trees, there's really no way of telling whether I am hot on the trail of a saw-whet owl or a long-eared owl until I find the owl itself. 9 times out of 10 here in Iowa, I find northern saw-whet owl, which is always lovely. I very much enjoy getting to find northern saw-whet owls, but it is pretty rare that I get to find a long-eared owl. Just makes it all the more special when I do find one. And with plenty of patience and determination, I did eventually find a long-eared owl for myself. If you think you may be hot on the trail of a long-eared owl, slow down your search and cautiously approach any potential roost trees so you don't accidentally flush the owl. As you can see, these owls blend in very well with the trees in which they roost, and if you think there's any chance that you'll detect a long-eared owl before it knows you're there, you can forget about that, as these owls have tremendous hearing. They'll know you're nearby long before you ever lay eyes on the owl. I remember an occasion a few years ago when I spotted a long-eared owl from about 40 meters away. I was excited because I thought I would be able to stay put and observe the bird from where I first spotted it without disturbing the owl. I zoomed in my camera to what I expected would be a sleeping bird, but sure enough, when I focused the camera, I could see that the long-eared owl was looking right at me with its eyes cracked open. The moral of the story: investigate good long-eared owl habitat with care. Unlike northern saw-whet owls, which often seem pretty unfazed by a person nearby, long-eared owls will be extremely alert when they know a human is intruding on their perch. When you first encounter a long-eared owl at its roost, they often straighten up, making themselves appear taller and thinner than resting birds. However, if you give the bird plenty of space and quietly observe it from a respectful distance, it should turn its focus away from you and assume the relaxed, stockier build of a resting long-eared owl. If the long-eared owl that you're observing takes its eyes off of you or begins to shut its eyes and rest, you're probably observing from an appropriate distance. But if a bird doesn't stop watching you or its eyes are wide open, you probably need to back up and give the owl more space. Well everyone, if you follow my 5 rules to finding a long-eared owl, then you may just find one of these wonderful owls yourself. And if you are lucky enough to find a long-eared owl, remember that viewing a long-eared owl is a privilege and not a right. Always be sure to put the well-being and safety of the long-eared owls above your own viewing satisfaction. Good luck to everyone in their pursuit of a long-eared owl, and if you want to know how to find another specialty winter owl, the northern saw-whet owl, then watch my video about how to find northern saw-whet owls. Thank you all so much for watching. I will catch you on my next worldwide birder adventure.